Kobe recently came out with some comments about LeBron James. He said there's more to making teammates better than passing them the ball. And a lot of people took his comments out of context. Kobe Bryant was remembering back in 2010 he had to go up against the Boston Celtics, and he was looking at their roster compared to his roster. He had a conversation with Michael Jordan, who happened to be in the room with him. He was like, man, they got Paul Pierce, they got Ray Allen, they got KG, they got Rasheed Wallace, they got Rondo, they got James Posey, they got they got Eddie Howe. They just got a full tooled up roster. Because if you guys don't remember, that 2008 to 2010 Celtics, they were a formidable force. They was basically ushered the era of the big three. And even though Ray Allen, KG, and Paul Pierce were older, they were basically in the later part of their prime. They still know how to ball. They could execute. They're a good team. And MJ basically told Kobe, look, you got to find a way to win. Somehow, somewhere, you got to find a way to win. Now, Kobe went on to say, LeBron should find some kind of way to win. I think he was basically trying to compare his situation against the Celtics with LeBron's situation against the Warriors. People are up in arms. They're saying like Kobe never tried to empower his teammates the way that he's telling LeBron James to do so. They're saying that it's more of a tactic of do as I say and not what I do. And I think in a sense, yes, it is that way because when Kobe played, he was a very hard teammate to play with. If you saw how he would demean teammates, yell at teammates, elbow teammates in practice, get on their head. There was one practice we played against Jeremy Lin where he was like, shoot it, bitch, shoot it. Like, I just baited him into that shit. So, of course, he was a tough competitor to play with. And that makes sense how everybody's like saying it's a bit hypocritical coming from you, where you just did your game. Because Kobe, in essence, was saying from what Phil said to what Jordan said is sometimes you as a player have to do less in order to let your teammates do more and let them usher themselves into the game. That's what Phil Jackson told them. Let them usher themselves into the game. Everybody is missing the point about what Kobe is saying. I think if you read between the lines and you ignore the fact that, some people are saying, well, Kobe is saying, hey, I'm not in a Jordan conversation, it's LeBron. And what about me? Everybody's skipping over me. Kobe just inserted himself in the conversation. Number one, no. Number two, Kobe has 5 rings, nothing to be insecure about. Number three, Kobe and LeBron are great friends. I'm pretty sure whenever Kobe is speaking, he is speaking with the utmost respect for LeBron James, knowing that they're cool. Like they have a lot of respect for each other. Honestly, Kobe has really been like the elder statesman for a lot of young guys coming up, from LeBron to Steph to just any young player. They look up to KD, they look up to Kobe, and they see that Kobe knows what he's talking about. But the fact that people are trying to say he's hating, I don't think so. I think he's basically trying to tell his LeBron and his teammates now or his future teammates, LeBron, stop spoon feeding them the game. That's all he's saying to Kobe. I mean, to LeBron. He's saying, like, a lot of times you shouldn't be at the top of the key trying to dribble and wait for guys to get open to hit them with the pass, the right pass, or try to make the right play. Sometimes you have to just play your game and let those guys take responsibility for their game. Stop taking responsibility for another guy's game. And you'll notice this is the weirdest thing. Like, whenever something happens on the court, LeBron gets all the praise. But it's just like his teammates, from shooters to point guards to power forwards, they're not empowered to do anything. You're looking at a Kevin Love, who in Minnesota was averaging like 20 and 10 religiously, like 25 and 12, 25 and 10, 26 and 10. Like, he can ball. He was relegated to a spot-up shooter. And everybody's like, well, Kevin Love has to figure out a way to acquiesce to LeBron James. He has to fix his game so he can play with LeBron. No. Sometimes LeBron has to fix himself and say, look, I'm not going to alienate Kevin Love's strong suits. I'm not going to bring up the ball every single time. Let George Hill bring up the ball. I'm not going to be the one to initiate the play. Let JR initiate the play. That's what Kobe is basically saying. Stop spoon feeding your teammates the game. They're not babies. They're professionals just like you are. Stop spoon feeding them. That's what Kobe was doing before he was successful. A lot of people are like, well, what happened when you got swept in the final? I mean, in the early rounds and you lost to the Suns, and what happened to this? Kobe was spoon feeding his teammates the game. We all remember Kobe Bryant, where he had 50 points in 4 straight games. He was basically saying, give me the ball, I'm going to take over. And on top of that, that's what his coaches were asking of him. Like Phil was asking him that of him, and other coaches as well. There was a period in his time where he was in his prime, but he didn't understand that by doing so, he was hurting Smush Parker. He was hurting Kwame Brown. So Kobe is basically speaking from experience. Like, I had bums, and by me always taking over, that increased their ineptitude, that increased their insecurity in their own game. And that's what you see with a lot of players. Like, for Kyle Korver to go 1 for 16, that makes absolutely no sense. You know what I'm saying? That means that not only was there a flaw in terms of your offense, but, you know, the Warriors' defense was great and whatever the case is, but there was a flaw in your offensive philosophy. And whatever team LeBron James has been on since he joined the Cavaliers, to the tail end of the Heat, I'll say no. The Heat is a different story. But with the Cavaliers, everything has to go through LeBron first instead of going through other players. If the coach would empower the other guys, like, hey, when you get a rebound, don't look for LeBron. Push the ball. You know what I'm saying? You know how many fast break points the Cavs left on the table in the NBA Finals because they were looking for LeBron James? Like, do you know how many points they left on the board because when they had a switch, they waited for LeBron to get the mismatch instead of giving it to a player like a Kevin Love or Larry Nance Jr. or whatever in the post? Like, do you know how many points they just gave up? Do you know how many points that the Cavaliers really gave up because LeBron didn't want to get into the post? It's like certain things you don't have to do more. Like, to me, what Kobe's saying is like, you don't have to dribble the ball so many times at the top of the key. You don't have to drive and kick every single time. You know, you could do other things. Get in the post, set screens for guys. I think a LeBron James, Kyle Korver's, LeBron setting the screen for Kyle Korver would be ridiculous. Or a LeBron, George Hill pick and roll, that would be ridiculous. Like, there's certain things, other aspects of the game that he can do where other guys could get off and he doesn't have to be dribbling the ball. He doesn't have to be the guy that does everything for those guys. Guys don't need you to do everything for them. And when I say that, I want you to look at this Cavs team, and then even when he had Kyrie, you saw there were certain aspects where he was trying to spoon feed the game to Kyrie. Kyrie would just be like, get out of my way. I could do this. I can handle it. See what I'm saying? It's not like LeBron doesn't have another guy that can play ball or nothing. Kevin Love is not a scrub. It's not like he's playing with a bunch of bums like everybody likes to put it. Kyle Korver is the fourth highest percentage three-point shooter to ever play the game. You're looking at Tristan Thompson is a great rebounder, whatever the case is. Their team isn't as stacked as the Warriors, but they have guys that can play basketball. What's really funny is when the trade went down, everybody said the Cavs are better than when they started. And guess what? I'm giving them a shot against the Warriors. Then they get to the finals, everybody's tune changes. And that's just because he was spoon feeding them the game. That's all Kobe's saying. Stop spoon feeding them the game. If you look at LeBron James in Miami, that didn't go down. Everybody contributed how they could contribute. Yes, LeBron James, they try to acquiesce to him more, but there were plays where Mario Chalmers would take over, Mike Miller would take over, Chris Bosh would have huge games. And it wasn't because LeBron was dribbling at the top of the key, running the plays. It was because there was off-ball action for other guys. And part of that is, we can't blame LeBron 100%. Part of that is coaching, yes. But also part of that is coaching and LeBron coming together and be like, you know what? I'm doing too much. I'm playing too many minutes. There's certain times where, like, for example, he played all these minutes in the NBA Finals. A lot of times he played a lot of minutes, and the games are, close, 2 3-point games. Let LeBron get a blow. Hey, LeBron, take yourself out. Let the other guys get in a rhythm without you, so when you come in the game, then they can get in a rhythm. I know people are saying Kobe's hypocritical. I know they're saying that what he's saying is funny or whatever, but what he's saying is 100% right. Even in a book that Phil Jackson wrote, Sacred Hoops, he talked about how there was a Michael Jordan problem on the team. And people, if you hear this now, today, you'll say a Michael Jordan problem. Michael Jordan's one of the greatest players ever played. Phil was basically saying that every time the players got the ball, they would look for Mike. Instead of playing basketball and making the play that is the right play, they will look for Mike. And they're looking for Mike every single play down the stretch. Even in the beginning of the game to down the stretch, they would miss opportunities for themselves, for the team. And in essence, Phil was saying the team is more important than one individual player. And with many of LeBron James' teams, if you look at a lot of his teams, they haven't been strong teams. You know, the Heat, they were a strong team for like 2 years or whatever the case is. But most of the Cavs teams that he played on, it's only been always a 1-2 show, a 2-man show, whatever the case is. And Kevin Love has been taking a back seat or whatever the case is. Even when they came back in 2016, they were down 3-1. If there's no suspension, we're talking about, you know, Warriors going 3 straight or whatever the case, maybe possibly going 3 straight. His teams, he's never been a part of an all-time great team, and it's not because he hasn't played with all-time great talent. Wade is all-time great. Chris Bosh is a great player. Kyrie Irving is going to be a future Hall of Famer. Kevin Love is a great player. The problem is, the way he plays basketball doesn't give them enough room to shine. He wants you to spot up. That spotting up is not something that a professional player that has talent wants to do, or is supposed to do. They shouldn't be asked to just spot up. You want them to play defense. You want them to rebound for you. But you want them to be spotting up and waiting for you to dribble and hand them the ball so they can score. So it could come off your assist. That's a little ridiculous. Same thing when you look at, for example, when LeBron James is like, they're like saying, I'm asked to rebound, I'm asked to score, should be a triple threat. Those came out of his words came out of his mouth. Look, you have Kevin Love and you have Tristan Thompson. Those guys are great rebounders. Sometimes you don't need to rebound every single ball. You could let them rebound and you could leak out and then they could, you know, get some more easy passes and more easy baskets. You know what I'm saying? Kevin Love could lead the breaks at some times. He can handle basketball just a little bit. Let the point guard, George Hill, let him handle his responsibilities. Let him initiate the offense. The reason why LeBron James is so tired is because he's doing so much. He's doing so much on purpose because he handpicked this team. He approves the trades. He's like the GM on the court. So he's just doing way too much with professionals. These guys are professionals. They're not as bummy as you think. And that's kind of what Kobe saying. I fell into that trap as well. I thought like Smush Park was a bum. These guys were bums. In all essence, I was really hurting them. I was hurting myself doing too much, and I'm hurting them because I'm not letting them do things that they know that they can do. And then when I call on them because they're so used to not doing what they're born to do and what they've been trained to do, it's like foreign language to them. That's all he was saying. I don't think he was hating. I don't think these comments are as controversial as people think. I think it's 100% on point. You know, it can be hypocritical if you look at it like that. You're like, okay, he never did that, whatever the case is. But the man knows what he's talking about. He has 5 championships. He's been in a position where he's faced up against a team that had more talent than he did, and he won a series or whatever the case is. So, you know, like you got to look at it for what it is and take it within the context. He's talking about after 08, after 09, into 2010, how he was doing so much and he just wasn't trusting his guys. And when he trusted his guys, that's when they went back to back.